What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the American South Fishing Podcast. I've got Nick Brown and Ricky Morris, NPFL pros, with me here tonight. I have no idea what kind of rowdy mess we're about to get into, but I'm sure it's about to be a lot of fun. Nick, man, how's it going tonight, dude?
Dude, it's going good. I'm glad to be here and I'm glad you invited me.
Absolutely, Ricky. Are you ready to go, dude?
Heck yeah, I am.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let y'all take turns and kind of just tell everybody a little bit about yourselves, and then just kind of give a little bit of your fishing history and kind of your achievements, and then we'll keep on rolling.
You can go first if you want, Rick.
You go first.
Me go first?
You're
All
my
right,
elder.
I'm your elder. You are right about that. So Nick Brown, NPFL pro. I am based out of Texas. Call Lake Fork my home lake. Been with the NPFL going on 4 years now. So I guess that'd make me an OG in the NPFL. Had some success there. I've done real well. I've won some events, in there and out, major events across, through the course of my life. But yeah, not a whole lot about me. Fish, 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 and work to pay for it.
Ricky, go ahead, man. Y'all are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum, aren't you? Because this is going to be your first year fishing the
Yes, sir.
NPFL.
This will be my rookie year in it. Thanks to Nick. I mean, he talked me into joining. I live in Oklahoma now. I grew up in Texas, born and raised in Texas. Wife moved me over to Oklahoma, so I guess I'm an Okie now. But
Uh-oh.
Lake Texoma is my home lake. Been there my whole life. Man, I've just fished mainly. You're more local and state stuff over the years, Bass Nations, a few MLF events, Bass Champs, stuff like that. I was fortunate to win the Bass Champs championship on Texoma last year. So, yep, I like pulling in on Nick and stealing his fish too. We fish a lot alike, and he finds the same fish I do. So, I pull in on him and steal his bed fish all the time.
Yeah, so Nick was telling me before the show that y'all were on. He was on the Fish North Georgia podcast the other night and or show, and you were giving him a pretty good time over there, pretty
Oh yeah.
hard time.
Anytime me and Nick talk, it's always a good time.
He's got
All
he's
right,
got he's got to be careful because I'm going to get him back sooner or later for the dumb questions that he thought that he needed to present me and
Go ahead and
the
tell him about the little Japanese bait.
in the little innuendos. I think everybody already knows about the little Japanese boy bait that's out there, but you're the only one that I know that's a super fan of it.
I don't own any.
oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
not yet. It's early.
well, guys, y'all got 2 weeks until your first event. Nick, you said that was on the Harris chain of lakes, correct?
Yeah, our first regular season event is there. We got our AOY championship for 25 on Lewis Smith Lake coming up here. We start, I believe, practice on the 22nd of February, so we'll be in Alabama to kick it off right before the season gets started.
Perfect. So,
Yeah.
tell me, guys, and Ricky, you go ahead and get started, man. What's your thoughts on your upcoming tournament, and are you excited about it? What are the nerves like?
And so Nickel fished before me because the championships for the last year's
Right.
qualifiers. So my first one won't be till Harris Chain.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I mean, just a lot of unknowns. I mean, I feel confident going into it. I mean, I feel like I pretty much know what bait's going to get bid. I'm just going to have to cover a lot of water and find some fish.
Yeah. Are there any like? I mean, obviously you fished tournaments before. You're no stranger to that. But does this feel a little bit different?
Yeah, I mean, the reality's hitting a little bit. I mean, you can ask Nick. I call him every day and I got a question or 10, maybe
Yeah.
20. But
I tell you what, he has no idea what he's got. Having somebody that's a senior that's been here for a minute, coming in his freshman year, his rookie year, and having somebody to be able to lean on to know what's going on. Because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of things that he's got a heads up on. Stuff like knowing that you have to have a boater safety course that's good for all 50 states when you get to
Yep.
Alabama or to St. Lawrence, which he's a guide too, which is his, his main source of income. But some of that stuff, if you don't know about it, like I found out about it like 4 hours before the tournament started. I had to stay up for like 3 hours straight. I got like an hour sleep the night before the tournament trying to get my boater safety course done. So,
Yep.
I mean, he's gotten a heads up. It's been, it's pretty cool for him to have a heads up and be kind of prepared for what he's going to get hit with. So,
Yeah, I mean that definitely helps. I can only imagine how exhausted you were on that tournament that day. Because, man, I'll tell you, and y'all can both speak to this. What people don't realize about tournament fishing, fishing is fun, but being out on a lake all day and the mental fatigue and just the physical exhaustion of fishing in a tournament, it's real. And man, like I know that fishing is fun, but that's also work when you're out there doing that. Can y'all kind of touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, I guide all the time, so I mean, like month of March, I got 2 days off the whole entire month of March. Between my guiding, a Bass Champs tournament, the Harris Chain. I mean, I say I got 2 days off. I mean, I'll have a couple days of travel time there too. So, but I mean, people don't realize being on your feet daylight until dark, or I mean, at times. My client today didn't want to start till noon. I mean, we went and bought guns at a gun store and did all kinds of crazy things today before we ever got on the water. But so yeah, it was an easy day today.
somebody went to Texas Ranch Outfitters this morning.
Oh yes, we did. Went up there and bought two custom pistols this morning.
Nick, what are your thoughts on all that, man?
I think there's a lot of it. I think, the positive mindset and being positive. There ain't a one of us that signed up for this thing that don't think we're going to win every single event. So, I mean, there's 100 winners or 130 winners before we ever get to the lake every time. So you got to have that positive mindset. And you got to keep it all day long, even if you're sucking or even if you lose a big fish. You got to keep that train of thought in your mind. That's where guys spiral downhill is losing a big one and it's number 5 and oh my gosh, now I'm not going to get 5 fish and what am I going to do? And they start pulling up stakes and freaking out. And there's a lot you got to do to keep yourself just focused on what's going on and in those situations. So it's the struggle can be pretty real. Or if you're just not doing good and having a good year, some of these guys are leaning on this and sponsors to do it for a living and they got to make a showing. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, man, Nick, I gotta say, one thing I thought that was pretty interesting was you grew up on Lake Fork, or that's your home lake, and,
yes.
and you have a win at Lake of the Ozarks, and those lakes could not be the more opposite of each other than any two lakes in the country. What was that kind of like, and how did you? Being from the area fishing a lake like Lake Fork, how hard was it for you to make the adjustment to a highland reservoir like that?
So before I had moved down here, I'd actually lived in Kansas for several years,
Okay.
from 2002 to 2012. And I'd spent a lot of time out there at Grand Lake and Lake of the Ozarks, Table Rock, places like that.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of had some experience out there under my belt and kind of knew what it was going to be and going into the fall and what the bite could possibly be. And then it just all kind of fell into place, all the pieces. Be honest with you, I mean, when I got there and throughout the course of practice, it wasn't until the night before the last day of practice that I knew that I possibly had something special going, but man, it's still fishing. I mean, most of these guys that win, I don't think any of them really know that what they got going, but it was just power fishing. I mean, that's what I like to do. I don't care if I'm scoping or not. We can't use any of the electronics as far as forward facing sonar in our league. So,
Right.
it takes about half of the lake. Yeah, it takes about half the lake out of play. We're not out there wandering around looking goofy and trying to chase floaters and stuff around. But it's still that is still a little bit in the back of your head. Can you still go out there and shake them in even though the fish are out there and they're probably about 10 foot deep because you see them on 2D or on down imaging and side scan. So
Yeah.
It's a good thing you can win on Ozarks because the stuff I fished to his on Fork today was junk.
Hey, what are friends for?
So
I think he sent me on a wild goose chase today.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, Ricky, how is your mindset going into like you're probably going to run into some diverse lakes? How do you feel? You said you fish kind of more state and local stuff. How do you feel about probably experiencing some new things that you may not have seen before?
Man, I think the biggest thing that's going to get me, yeah.
I'm putting that in his boat.
So, never mind. No, or- no. So the biggest thing that's going to get me is the northern swing. Man, I ain't never seen water 20 or so clear I can see 20 foot deep in. Like that's going to be different to me. I ain't so
I,
much
can't, I,
worried,
cannot, I cannot wait till those phone calls on the lake at 9 a.m. when he goes, I
Yeah,
can see the bottom and 30 feet of water and I don't see a damn fish nowhere.
yeah. So, I mean, starting in Florida, I mean, I feel like that'll kind of be up my wheelhouse. I mean, I like seawalls, I like canals, I like grass, I like punching, I like flipping, frogging. I mean, that, it's all going to play down there, you know. So I feel like if I can find something down there, I'll be all right.
Yeah,
Second one, Right Patman. I mean, I've been there before. I've done well down at Right Patman. That lake fish is different than a lot of other lakes, but I've done well every time I've been there, so I ain't too worried about it. And I ain't ever fished any predominant spot lakes like we're going to be up in Alabama, but I don't see that being an issue really to me. Like I said, the clear water is what I'm more worried about than anything.
I can understand that, man. It's different for sure. And I fish the lakes up here in northern Arkansas, Bull Shoals and Norfolk, and those are clear. They're not that clear, but you can see 20 foot deep a lot of times in a lot of those pockets and stuff. And man, I didn't understand what people were talking about. How much easier it is to catch them in murky water until I started finding some, and then I got to understanding real quick. So, moving on though, guys, when you're preparing for pre-spawn tournaments, I'm asking this more for a lot of the guys who are trying to learn, and that's my whole idea on this thing is I want people to learn. If I'm learning something, somebody else is learning something. Um, so when you're preparing for a pre-spawn, for some pre-spawn fishing, which we're still a few weeks out, but we're getting closer every day. Especially in the area I live, and probably in a lot of the lakes in the country, southern part of the country. What are you guys starting to look for? And you can you differentiate between a highland reservoir and a lowland?
Man, when I get ready to go to these lakes, I hang my hat on sight fishing. I make a lot of my money sight fishing and catch a lot of a lot of my good tournaments will be based on fish that are pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn garters. I really look forward to that time of year. But before I get to a lake, I'm checking water temperature. I'm checking wind direction. I'm using some of the Omni apps and some of the apps that are available out there to see if there's been any rainwater intrusion, muddy water, dirty water. There's a lot of good apps out there that you can pull up and see what part of the lake. I mean, you want to be able to see if you're sight fishing or you're coming up into the spring, and you're looking for places that they might bed on them flats and that. But say you're at a highland reservoir, say Norfolk, and you guys get a ton of rain up there, you know, that's going to change the conditions on that lake a bunch. I mean, I've been on it a few times, and they do just bite better when it's dirty. I mean, they're more comfortable up there. They're not being seen by eagles. I mean, how many times have you actually seen a fish up there cruising down the bank? You threw your bait over top of it, and it's 10 feet out of the water over top of it, and the fish freaks out and darts out there to the deep water because he's seen it flying over his head. So there's a lot to do with wind and on these clear waters. The wind and the rain has a lot to do with how I plan for my spring.
Absolutely. What you got, Ricky?
Man, so I spend a lot of time on Google Earth and maps. I have some of the Omni apps as well. As Nick said, I mean, you've heard the saying, "The wind's your friend." I mean, that's true to a statement. I mean, there's times too much wind will hurt you, or no wind will hurt you. But I mean, way I go into it. I mean, like today, for instance, I ain't been down here on Fork in months. Went into area that me and Nick had actually talked about, and I started up shallow, ran down the bank, and turned around, and come back out. And when I got out in the middle of the pocket, there was a drop right there from 2 foot to 4 foot, and boom, 5 pounder off of it. And that told me something right there. All right, them fish are staging. It may be 52-degree water here, but them fish are staging up. I mean, that's 3/4 of the way back in a creek. So, you know, you can study a lot on a map, but until you get out there and you're on the water, a map ain't gonna tell you everything.
Right. Man,
Yeah.
and I've had a lot of guys talking to me about channel swings and finding pockets adjacent to channel swings or maybe with current breaks. How much are you guys paying attention to those kind of things? I mean,
Man, I look at channel swings a lot, but I mean, there's times a lot of channel swings are on community holes. I
right,
mean, that's something everybody knows to look at. I try and look at the more off the wall, smaller drains. I mean, I'll fish a channel swing from time to time, but I like looking more at the drains and drops that are off the wall than the more main stuff.
Yeah, and see, I'm kind of similar, except for I'm looking for more stuff. I kind of equivalent the bass fishing to kind of like deer hunting. You know, if you got wide patches of timber and it comes down to a narrow strip right in there, it's going to funnel
Mhm.
everything down to that narrow strip. So
Yep.
if I got a patch of timber out there, or I got a big spot in the river and it comes in there and it comes into a swing and then it's got a narrow creek that heads up onto a flat, well,
Mhm.
you know that narrow spot's going to be the first spot that they're going to stop on, and then they're going to move into the first or secondary point and stop, and then to the back to spawn, and then in reverse back out for the summer. So I look at a lot of my fishing like deer hunting. I mean, I really pay attention to the travel routes.
Yeah, I got you. And so, can you give examples of ways that you can find more of those things? Like, if you're a guy like me, or a guy who's really trying to learn, how are you differentiating those things on your maps?
Well, for one thing, Nick don't ever kill any deer, so I don't know how much I believe that. But
Yeah, boy has no idea. I got some. My wife's probably got deer that put his to shame.
wait, wait till I send you a video earlier. My client today. My client I'm down here with, he's one of the street outlaws. And we walked outside his house earlier and shook a can, and he threw out some corn, and 30 deer come running up to his driveway. Oh,
Yep, that's
it
around
was
Lake Fork.
wild.
Nobody's allowed to hunt them up there, so they're
It's
pretty.
right there on the golf course.
Yeah, they're pretty tame.
Oh yeah.
What? So I mean, what? I guess reiterate your question a little bit. What you're asking me?
So when you're trying to find those different areas and I guess what you'd call inconsistencies in the water, or things that you can, how are you looking for those things on the map to where you're like, okay, this is an area where on their way up that they might stop?
I mean, I guess it all depends on the body of water. I mean, if you're up north and it's deep, you could be, say, at Table Rock. They could be spending the winter on bluffs, and that next stop could be the bluff ends or the gravel slides coming down. And then the next stop could be just at the mouth of the point going in. I think you really have to, each and every lake is a little bit different. I mean, not all the bass in Texas at Sam Rayburn or Fork or any of these lakes down here, not every one of them go deep. Some of them stay fairly shallow. I mean, they're going to follow the bait around, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to start where the bait is. If you put your boat on the water, you need to find the bait. If that's, is your starting point. If you know that, say, I'm going to Glade Creek, it's a giant flat fish spawn in there, it's notorious for that, then the creek channels and stuff may play on some of that. But like when you get there, it's going to be timber rows. So you need to find, I guess, the more things that you can find that in a combination that works for you, whether it's bluff ends and a point, or bluff ends and a lay down in the water, or a tree row that comes up there and crosses. Sorry. With some rock on it and ends up, or you go back into the back of a creek and it's got eelgrass, hydrilla, and lily pads, or is it just hydrilla, or is it just a little bit of sparse pepper grass? I think the more combinations you have of things, the better chance you have of having fish in the area. And majority of the time, if you really look at lakes before you go, especially if it's one you ain't experienced yet, I feel like you can get on YouTube or any place and watch some videos and stuff on the lake, or you can look at, Google tournament results And you could kind of find out by looking at the tournament results what was caught there, where they went out of. If it's a Friday nighter, those guys ain't going more than 10, 15 minutes from the ramp to fish. They're going to fish close. So if they went out of, say, the minnow bucket on Fork, chances are they're all fishing within 5-6 miles of the minnow bucket because they only got 2 hours. They're not going to run to the other end of the lake. So, except for Rickey, I mean, but most
I'm going
most
to the
of
dirty water.
yeah, he's going to the dirty water. But most of us are going to spend our time going to the quickest fish that we can find, which means that there's fish close to that area, or there's release fish there that can be caught too. So I guess I try and find the combination that's got the most stuff that I could try in the shortest amount of time. I don't want to run to one end of the lake to try grass, another end of the lake to try stumps, another end of the lake to fish riprap. I want to try and get as much of that stuff in one area as I can and sample it and quickly until I figure out what they're biting on, and then just keep moving. It's a numbers game. It's a cast game. It's how long you take to tie on. It's how many fish you're catching. It's how much bait's in the water. I mean, it's all numbers. It's math. Bass fishing's math, believe it or not. I know it sucks, but it is.
Well, one thing to add to that too, I mean, that a lot of people don't realize is during our practice days, I mean, we talk. Nick may go to the south end of the lake, I may go to the north end of the lake. I mean, if I'm catching 2.5 pounders and he's catching 2 pounders down south, then we're catching more solid fish up north. I mean, we'll work together to some extent. So
Well, and I've always wondered that, man, and I've got guys who kind of do the same thing in the tournaments I'm fishing in, and you communicate, and man, I almost feel like you have to have that network of guys if you're going to be competitive. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're 100% right. All the guys on tour, on any of the tours, they've got a close knit family that they're working with, or housemates that they're working with, or close friends that maybe they're not even housemates. I've already got a crew of guys that I stay with, or else Rickey probably would have stayed with us this year. But I introduced him to and basically told him to get a hold of Joey Bloom, which is a great guy. He's based out of Texas or out of Florida. I'm sorry, but he got a hold of him and he's got a room with him this year. But we still talk. We'll put the phone. We can't talk during the tournaments, but we can. We a lot of times we'll just put the phone on speakerphone, lay it on the deck, and we'll fish for an hour, 2 hours, and just be on the phone while we're fishing and talking and comparing notes. And I don't ever want to know where Rickey's fishing. I will never ask him, hey, what cove are you in? What are you on? I don't want to know, because if I find his stuff, I want to find it honest. And then I don't care if I fish it while he's on it. I'm going to fish it and he's going to do the same thing to me.
every tournament that me and Nick's ever fished against each other, we've ended up in the same water.
Yeah, same.
That's crazy.
Even when that's kind of how we met. But even when we first met, we fished similar and look at the similar stuff, and that's before we even talked, and we would still end up on the same stuff because we like to fish the same kind of thing. So
Yeah. So, man, I know obviously information sharing is like a really difficult thing. There's a lot of things you have to be careful with, and there are a lot of rules on that. But that does lead me into with the NPFL, obviously no forward facing sonar, which you talked about earlier. So, what are a lot of guys are relying on that now so much that I feel like the traditional ways of using your graphs are kind of being lost to a lot of people because a lot of guys don't use it anymore. I mean, I know a guy personally who tells me that he just goes down to the lower end of the lake, close to the dam, and just tries to find the suspenders. Like that's what he's going to do. And I'm like, well, man, I mean, that doesn't seem like which it does. It takes some skill because it still takes skill to catch those fish. I'm aware of that. But I mean, I just don't feel like that's a sport anymore, honestly. And I think forward facing sonar is a good tool, but I think that it's being utilized the wrong way. So I'm long winded in asking, what are ways that you use the graphs that you guys have that you can use to help you in these tournaments to prepare and while you're fishing the tournament?
go ahead, Ricky.
Man, I'm always using side scan. I use side scan daily. I mean, all forward facing is a side scan in a live state. So I mean, I striper guide as well. All we use striper guiding is 2D. So being able to have the knowledge of what I'm looking at from one to the other I mean, think about it back in the just before Live Scope was here. Okay, you had guys up there on the St. Lawrence and everything, pretty much live scoping on 2D with a drop shot. I mean, it's the same concept. You find fish. I mean, all of us have waypoints. I mean, all of us have point one. I don't know what it's called in Garmin, but we can pull right back up to that spot after we graph over it and do the exact same thing. That 2D is going to tell us where they're at in the water column. Side scan will tell us what kind of structure they're on. I mean, it's all the same, just a little more complicated.
Right.
Those guys are missing out if they're just going to the dam in the big end of the lake because they see that a lot on TV and they're just dropping their motor and they're fishing. If those guys aren't graphing some points and stuff or putting their boat on the water, checking temperature, checking the bait depth and stuff, because most of the time those floaters are right underneath the bait. The better, faster, easier ones to catch are always in groups of 3 to 5, and they're always around them bait balls. You know, solos up there at 4 and 5 foot just loaming around. Those are the ones those guys got to chase around, you know, for an hour to catch them like they're sight fishing. But I use mine. I want to know where the flats are. I want to know where the sharp drops are. I want to know where the creek channel bends are. Even if I was fishing, I mean, I enjoy fishing with forward facing sonar, but I still want to know where that stuff's at. You know, I want to know, you know, I want to know where all the contours are. I mean, we all got color shading and stuff on there, but I still use mine a bunch. All the guys I know still use it. Mapping is probably, without mapping, I mean, how do you know where that thing goes out there and breaks, or how to line up on that point and just ease right straight up the point and see if you can find them with the forward facing sonar? But use your electronics, guys, to speed up your process a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Man, so I've seen a lot of people use the shading, and obviously it's a super cool feature. How do you guys utilize that?
So, for instance, last year at Douglas, we had severe rains. Water was coming up. Lake was flooding. It was over pool. And every day of the tournament, I had to adjust my graph depth because it'd come up 6, 8, 10, 12 inches a day. And I shaded everything in basically 1 foot increments out to like 12 feet. And the fish were trying to spawn. They were trying to move up and do their thing. And the majority of the better fish I was catching was in 4 feet. So I would highlight that in red, and that was the area I would stay in red. So when I was fishing these giant flats of standing timber and stuff and willows and back in the thick brush and back in somebody's farm field fishing, I concentrated on just keeping my boat in those red areas. And when the water came up, I changed that red area to what would have been the 3 foot mark, you know, and I moved around. And as I was fishing the tournament, the first day of practice, I dropped like yellow dots, and then I dropped blue dots. And I did this for 6 days with different colored dots. Every time I got bit, I dropped a dot, and you could watch the progression of a wave of my waypoints going back into these areas around me. And you could see the fish and see the progression of the migration of the fish on my graph by looking at the waypoints. So use what's available, especially if you got multiple days to fish and you got some kind of extenuating circumstances where you're watching them move, because people don't realize if fish decide to come into spawn, they can do it in an hour. I mean, not days, not, oh, they could be up next week or this weekend. I'm talking by the hour.
That's insane. So you gave me a good scenario because I had a guy ask me this question that he wanted asked. So when you're in a lake, and you used Norfolk as an example, but any lake, obviously, when you do have that rain coming in, that water's rising so quick each day, how does that, when a fish has a bed and that water's rising daily, are they going to leave that bed and move, or are they going to stay even as the water continues to get deeper?
Depends on the history, I think, of the lake and what the fish is up against and how shallow they were to begin with,
and how dirty the water gets.
And how dirty it gets. They know that they have to have a certain amount of sunlight for them eggs to mature. But now here's something that you didn't think about, and Rickey can probably, being on Texoma, he can probably tell you this too. When we get, Texoma's a super clear lake at times, and when that water comes in, even at Norfolk up there, and it comes in muddy out of them creeks or whatever, or a Grand Lake or anything, everybody knows you go right to the back of those things when them run-ins are coming in. You always fish those. But chasing them mud lines down the lake where the fish can hang out just where it's starting to mix and the bait's pushing in front of it can be money. I mean, big time.
Just like Fork today. It's exactly what we did. Wind was blowing. hitting those clay points, and you had a mud line coming out of it. We was catching fish off the edge of that mud line.
Yeah,
See,
they
so
got some security.
I've always heard people saying like when the banks are getting blown out like that, not to fish them. But then I saw a video of, for example, Ott Defoe, and he was throwing the little, those little, I can't remember the exact name of them, those little big crankbaits that he throws right
Yeah.
on that mud line, and he was just tearing them up. And so that's something I didn't understand, because people always say, well, when the banks are getting blown out, you can't fish them. But then, like y'all are saying, now I've heard the other way. So is there any truth to that, or why are those people saying that? I guess, is that an old thing, or
I mean, it's an ambush point for them fish.
yeah,
I mean, you think of them sitting in the edge of grass and that bait coming by. Same concept.
yeah,
Yeah, you just don't have any grass. Now, when those guys are saying it's getting blowed out, if you're fishing, like he said, clay points down there, and say you're on a shad spawn and they're coming up every morning and they're busting down there, and you got 3-foot rollers rolling in down there, and that wave is going down there and making the bottom and creating turbulence, those fish are going to slide out. They're not going to sit on that mud line. They're not going to sit up there and get beat up. They're going to move out a little bit. They don't want to be in a wash machine. So usually when it gets completely blowed out like that, and there's a problem, it's because of that. I've actually ran my boat at Elephant Buttes in New Mexico. I fished a tournament there one time, couldn't get bit, got bit in practice later in the day, thought this thing was going to be great. Rolled up on it tournament time, couldn't get bit. And a guy went by a boat and made a wake, and they just moved enough water around up on the rocks. Fish went to chewing for about 10 minutes, and then they quit. I realized it, and then I ran my boat up and down that stretch. I'd go up and down at 2 passes, and I'd stop, put the trolling motor down and fish it, and I'd whack them. And then they'd quit. And I'd fire my boat up, run up and down. And it took the motion of the boat and the waves to knock the fish loose because it was slick calm. So that's why wind is your friend. The waves can be your friend. Jet skis can be your friend. And it also can hurt you too in the turbulence. You just have to, it's a fine set of scales, I think, that you just got to look and go, okay, this is too much, or man, this is just perfect scenario to catch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, guys, I've asked you a lot of questions on that end. So now we're going to move into y'all schedule this year. Are there any tournaments that you guys are excited about working into this year?
I'm sure our answer's probably both going to be the same on this. Patting on both of us.
I'm excited to let Rickey touch my right Patman shield this year after I win it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. We got some hammers up there in that area that can do pretty good up there. I'm in a house full of hammers, and there's 3 of us that I think have got a super lot, quite a bit of experience up there and super comfortable. One in particular, Ryan Satterfield, he's gonna be tough up there too. So,
yep.
Where is that now?
Right, Patman there in Texarkana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What tournament is it? I'm sorry. I think I must have missed it.
That'll be the second one. Right, Patman.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. Stop.
Do what now?
It's stopped too. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, guys, I'm trying to think of any more questions before we start wrapping up. It's been a lot of fun, man. I'm super excited. So I kind of watched a little bit of the NPFL last year, and I enjoyed it because the difference in the TV quality of actually watching people fish and explain why they're doing what they're doing, and kind of the patterns of everything instead of looking at a screen is nice. And so you were I do want to ask this. You were kind of talking about Gunnersville today with the Elite Series, and they were scratching their heads. And it was one of the tournaments that they were not allowed to use forward facing. Is that correct?
That's right.
So what did any of y'all see anything about that today? Or Nick, what was
Man,
the down you got?
They dropped some sacks.
Did they?
I looked at the results earlier. I mean, it's pretty tight. They did a good job up there today.
Yeah, it's tight, but you could definitely tell the forward facing sonar game was off the table because the normal young kids that really pound them. There's a few, Trey and them were still doing good, but some of them that they really thought was going to lay it down on them, not so much. They kind of stunk it up a little bit, but you know what? They could go out tomorrow. I think they're all chatterbaiting and trapping and stuff. So I mean, that's anybody's derby there.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what you saw in the tournament just a couple weeks ago with the guys over at MLF. They were, doing the exact same thing. So, well, guys, I really appreciate you guys stopping in. Is there anything you'd like to say before we start winding down?
No, man, I just I appreciate being on, and I'd like to thank everybody that helps me throughout the course of the season. And Bascat, Pro Guide, Garmin, Kistler, and Rickey for washing my boat every time we get down on the water at the end of the day.
Let's think about that.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to make a shout out too. I actually just partnered with a bait company out of Alabama, and we're working together pretty closely there. We're actually about to do a giveaway here in a couple of weeks. So if you guys wouldn't mind to go check out B&M Custom Baits out of Northern Alabama, some great guys. They're making some really good baits. They do some hand painted crankbaits. They got jerk baits, bladed jigs, spinner baits, shaky, all kinds of things. Anything you can think of, really. They're doing a great job, and they're just absolutely great guys. So if y'all would check them out, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, check them out. I mean, that's how they get their name out there. Is a few of us get our hands on them and do well on their stuff, and then it kind of blows up from there. So I think you got a couple new people on board this year, don't you, Rickey?
Yeah, I got Miller Tech on board. They actually just dropped on us today. Any of the guys fishing Miller Tech in the NPFL this year, they're giving $1,000 to the highest finisher. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Tadpoles Marine, Unique Irrigation Solutions. I mean, it takes help to get down the road. I mean, biggest things, my wife. I mean, she's so supportive of me doing this. I mean, I got three little girls at home. I got a 6, 8, and 13-year-old. Oh, you can throw that banana up all you want. I'll show you where you can take that.
I'm gonna hide it in your boat.
You lost all that weight. You ain't a big old boy anymore.
I ain't a big old boy. I feel like I'm stronger than I used to be for being 51 years old, and I still hang with all you young bucks out there.
Oh yeah.
Well, fellas, it's been a good time, man. Hopefully, I can check back in with you guys later this year and see how the season's going. I appreciate y'all stopping in, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of the American South Fishing Podcast. Everybody, have a great weekend.